one of the goals that I had this year was to take last year's six-figure income and earn it in one quarter. And I achieved that goal.
Welcome to Expanding Wallet, home for empowerment. My name is Andrew Clark, and I'm the founder of Expanding Wallet. And today's interview is really special because it's with the very first guest I ever interviewed on Expanding Wallet. And in his first interview, which was a very powerful interview where he shared his story of transformation. And in that interview, he shared that one of his goals was that he wanted to take his real estate business from 6 figures to a 7-figure business. And in today's interview, you're going to hear how he's doing on that goal and some of the lessons that he's learned along the way, as well as how to be very effective without burning yourself out. It's my great honor to introduce you to my good friend, Joshua Moreno.
Thank you. The honor is mine. Thank you, Andrew. Great to see you again, buddy.
Hey, good to see you again, too. So, right off the bat, Joshua, tell us, where your real estate business is and how long you've been in real estate.
Absolutely. So my real estate business, my name is Joshua Moreno. I work with Remax Advance Realty in Miami, Florida. I lead a sales team. We service primarily commercial real estate. That's something new, by the way. Residential and commercial real estate, but I'm focusing more towards the commercial aspect of the business. Where I was last year compared to this year, last year I was still kind of mobilizing and putting in systems in place and kind of working with assistants and basically having the team together. This year I pretty much finalized that. I have the right people in place. I have the people that know what they're doing. Basically, they're already well in the trenches and going. So that's that. Comparing year over year, it's been 115% increase. So, I produce more business. My goal, as mentioned, as you said, Andrew, is to earn 7 figures in income through real estate sales. I have not hit that goal yet. However, this year is a testament that I have built a business, like truly built a business through COVID, through shutdowns, through everything that we've gone through over the past year, 2 years, and specifically with my life personally and the things that I've dealt with, right? So one of the goals that I had this year was to take last year's 6-figure income and earn it in one quarter. And I achieved that goal. I hit that goal. I achieved it. Thank you. I achieved it in quarter 3 of this year. And I did that while taking more time off, traveling more, having more fun. I mean, I took like 5-6 vacations this year. I started doing psychotherapy, like really making sure that I was good, taking better care of my health. I'm also a course supervisor, as you know, and this year I was on 5 different courses, which that's a lot of preparation and time that goes into these courses, at minimum 100 hours per course.
Wow.
So, this is time and effort that I'm not investing into my business, yet I still was able to make the same, actually more money than I did last year in a quarter of the time, having more fun, more ease, more freedom. Which is really why I built this business, right? To be able to operate my life from anywhere in the world.
Wow, I love that. And so let's dive a little bit deeper into that. So obviously building a team is really important. And I know you had said that you found the right people. So maybe just kind of dive into some of the criteria that you might have used and how was that process? Like, how long did it take you to find the right people? And then again, what were you looking for?
Great question. It's still not something that I have solidified a system for. I'm still going pretty much off of gut instinct, which is not a very good thing, but my gut is pretty head on. Gut as far as bringing on people and also knowing when to let them go and say, hey, listen, this is not working. So that's also another thing as well. Really, the biggest thing is not so much me focusing on bringing on the right people. Although you want to have great talent, what's really more important is having the right systems in place, right? Like think of like bowling, for instance. For so long, I was looking for someone that would have all of the raw talent that I have that can go out and bowl a perfect strike.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that would be great, but that was really requiring a lot of time, energy, and resource. Number one, to find that very uncommon person. Number two, have them actually want to work with me. And then three, train them and develop them to get them up to speed, which that's all time and resource that I'm taking away from producing, investing into someone else that could very well leave or just quit or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of risk. So I started focusing more on systems, and specifically through systems, making it repeatable, making it efficient, and making it as effective as possible without needing my engagement. So going back to the bowling analogy, I stopped looking for the person that could bowl the perfect strike, and instead I put in the gutters, the bumpers in the gutters.
Right.
You can't miss. I mean, those bumpers are there. Doesn't matter how you throw the ball is going to find its way to the pins, right?
Right.
So done is better than perfect. And it really took me just kind of letting go, trusting in the systems that I put in place and trusting in the people that I have in place to take care of those systems. And it has flowed pretty nicely.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm actually pretty big around that same thing, that same concept of systems and how can I plug someone in. What would you say system-wise worked best for you? For example, I found that if I need to do something and train someone, the next time I do it, I can record a video and send to them, right? So that's efficient for me, and it gives them a visual. So that's just one thing I've learned myself.
Correct. So that's one, absolutely. Another one is having an assistant in person. For me, I realized really makes a difference. So last year, I didn't have an in-person assistant. I had a virtual assistant, and they were operating out of India. Great people, great talent, but all the communication was done via email. And it's a 14-hour time difference, basically, or 8-hour time difference, or something to that. I think it's 14 hours of a time difference.
Yeah.
So we're operating on completely different sleep cycles. You know, I'm sleeping, they're working, I'm sleeping. And if there needed to be something communicated via video, it had to be coordinated, and that coordination was like 8:30 was the only time available, right? 8:30 in the morning. So it was very hard. So for me, I realized that it's very important for me to have, number one, a pad, something for me to write on. So I always, now I have a yellow pad that sits on my desk. So whenever I'm doing something, I'm working, I'm on a call, and a thought comes to mind, I jot it down, right? I put it on paper. Or, excuse me, another step on top of that is I speak it to the person that's working with me, right? My assistant, hey, I need A, B, and C. We need to do X, Y, and Z. So now the system has become more efficient because it's no longer me having to write it down. It's already being taken care of into action by someone else while I'm taking care of something, whatever the business is that I'm doing.
I like that. I like that one.
So that's one system. The assistant, having a personal assistant, having someone in person makes all the difference. Another layer on top of that is now I'm going to bring back the virtual assistants and have them run basically all the online stuff, all the marketing that goes on, all the back-end digital marketing that goes on, because I realized that I was unloading a lot of tasks onto my personal assistant, which is great because she can handle it. However, it's not her highest and best skill set. So I realized that the virtual assistants are very good at online marketing. Hence, they're servicing clients from all over the world. They need to be very good at that. So I'm basically taking all of the online marketing, giving it to the virtual assistants, and then having the personal assistant help me with more of the day-to-day operations, coordinating appointments, answering phone calls, emails, so on and so forth. Another thing is also this back here. If you notice, I have a calendar. So on the calendar, I basically have, it's a marketing plan. What needs to go out when? That way I have top of mind awareness as to when things need to go out. So that has helped me significantly with organizing my business. and CRM, client relationship management. I've always had a CRM, a database management, a client relationship management. I've never really used it to the extent that I'm using it now. Before, it was just basically a website that I would use to store data, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really proactive with making sure as soon as I get a lead, update, email, text message, phone call, update all the conversations, schedule a follow up call, put them on a drip campaign, like really maximizing the use of that CRM. And that has allowed me to really feel control, some sort of bearing in my business because I know that I'm not having deals fall through the cracks because I'm not following up on them, basically.
I like that. I like that. So, just to recap, then, and I like the part about the assistant. That's actually really good because I know a lot is going to virtual assistants, but you found this balance where it's, hey, we can give some to the virtual assistant, but these are things I need for an in-person assistant. And I really like that. We were actually just talking about that before the interview, but finding out skill sets and who's good at what and what makes sense to give to who. So, that first tip about having a physical assistant and also a virtual and knowing what to give, that's good. I love the calendar. I love that you have something actually visual and like that you look at as soon as you get in your office. So you're staying ahead of the marketing side. And then the CRM part, that's powerful. Having the automated systems, having something that you can track your progress with clients to an individual level, really great. I like those, all of those. So, are there any lessons, I guess, that you've learned that we haven't kind of touched on yet that you want to, maybe throw in?
Going back to basics, the fundamentals. Sometimes I chase the shiny object, right? Or I might have one ball, two balls juggling, and I want to throw three, four extra balls on there. But I realize that that is more of a distraction, which causes more of a loss of time, energy, and revenue than it does benefit bringing in those things. So doing less is more, and going deeper is far better than going wider. And for me, it's been a matter of reducing the amount of things on my plate, but really doing whatever it is that I do at a master level.
Hmm,
And it sounds
love
so
that.
simple, but we get caught up. I get so caught up in, you know what? Let me just take care of this. It's 5 minutes. It's this, it's that. But that time, that mental space is being taken up. It adds up. It adds up so quickly.
Okay, I'm laughing because like the stuff you just said, I literally have these conversations with myself. And that thing about the 5 minutes, I could have like wrote that word for word yesterday because I remember someone telling me if something didn't take 5 minutes, just do it. And I remember reading something similar, and I was like, literally said to myself, you know what? I'm just writing down those 5 minute things, and I'll set aside some time at the end of the day to get to some of those 5 minute things because you're right. And it's not just about the time. What I realize it's about the focus.
Mm.
Those little 5 minute things, you can be in the zone. You can really be knocking things out and focused. Um, it really only takes a couple seconds to really just lose your focus. And so 5 minute things, it's more about the focus, I feel like, and efficiency that you actually lose when you lose your focus. So I completely agree with you. I would throw that in my lessons learned too.
Absolutely. I follow Formula One racing, so F1 racing. And I think the equivalent is like every pound or every 10 pounds, I think it's every pound that they shave off the vehicle, whether it's the vehicle itself or the driver, they shave off like point 0.10, point 0.1 of a second. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but when you multiply it by like 50 laps, that adds up. And when you're fighting for like 1 second of a difference, that makes a world of a difference. So it's
Right.
exactly what you just said. It's that focus, it's that inefficiency that doesn't need to be there. Remove it.
100%. 100%. So let's talk about how you got to this point where you're taking more vacation time, you're actually doing more leadership stuff outside of your business, right? 100 extra hours outside of your business. And I also know that you do a lot of volunteer work too. So let's talk about, how did you get to that point? As I think a lot of people struggle with, producing a lot, but also still having that balance and not getting burned out.
Got it. So before this interview, I left the office at 5 o'clock. I literally said, you know what, I'm gonna go home early. And I look at the clock and it's 5 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock. But I went home, had some dinner, spent time with my family, with my dog, just kind of recharge emotionally, spiritually, and nutrition wise. And I took an hour and a half, an hour. By the time I got home, I actually had an hour to that, my family and whatnot. And that was enough juice for me to come back into the office and like finish up a few things and get ready for this interview. Something as simple as 1 hour a day, something as simple as one half a day a week or half a day or a day per month. That reset is so important. It allows me to be able to come back, feel recharged, feel like I'm actually working for some purpose instead of just being in this hamster wheel that I built a business to escape, right? So taking a step back, enjoying the moments. So prime example, I'm part of Big Brother, Big Sister, which is a nonprofit organization that provides mentorship. So adults are able to mentor a child. And I got paired with my mentee, and we went to lunch for the first time on Sunday. So we spent two hours together having lunch and then having a dessert. But that day I felt so fulfilled. That day I felt like my contribution, my impact to humanity was so significant through this child. And it was also very nice for me to relive my childhood through his eyes, through this child's experience. And more importantly, I was so present in the moment with that little boy. His name is John, that it literally felt like I basically did 3 days worth of work in one day because I was so present in the moment. And me being a businessman, being everything that I do, I get caught up sometimes, just caught up in the motions and kind of forget why I do all this for. So going back to your question, I did do more volunteer work. I am doing more charitable work. It's something that fulfills me, but really it's taking the time outside of my business and dedicating it to something that really fills my heart and gives me a chance to just reflect. And that really helps go back into business sharper, better, more creative, with a better attitude. Because sometimes, we burn out. A lot of times we burn out. I burn out and I don't even notice it, but I'm getting better at catching that burnout before it happens.
Wow, yeah, that was really good. I love that. Sometimes I'll say this. I've heard this, and it's one of my favorite sayings, is that sometimes in life you have to slow down to speed up. And I feel like, just hearing that and what you're talking about and understanding what fulfills you, what fills you up, and making sure that you make time for that. I think that's really important. And I mean, I'm guilty of getting caught up as well in building a business on top of everything else. And so I've got to remind myself. And I think that, you hit the nail on the head when you said having like that self-awareness to say, hey, wait, I'm starting to get burnt out. I need to take a step back. I need to do something that's going to, really fulfill me. That's really good, man. Really. And I'm also just proud of you for, all the work that you do, that I know that you're doing. So I just want to acknowledge you for that, because, it's great to earn income and it's great to, make a lot of money, but at the same time, what are you doing it for? Right. And then once you're in that position, you have some time freedom, honestly. Right. And so if you take a step back and really say, what can I do to help people, man, I think that's a blessing to be able to give, right. To be able to give and give back.
And thank you for that acknowledgement. And I would say one comes before the other, because I had it that, when I make it, when I'm successful, once I'm there, then I will go back and do these things. But I realized that I really started seeing more success, more fulfillment when I started giving back. Then I started having more of the things that I was actually seeking. Um,
That's a good point.
and really, that's karma. It's universe. It's whatever you want to call it. It's also a level of mastery as well, being able to give, being able to teach, being able to pass on that knowledge. It's kind of like the notepad, right? Like kind of like the notepad that I was just mentioning. To me, and this is the reason why I journal as well, it allows me to clear my head. It's almost like going through a video game and you get to a point where you save how far you've come and you don't go back to the first part of the video game. You go back to where you saved.
Yeah.
And mentoring, giving back, charity to me is the equivalent of taking a step back, saving, setting up a post as to how far we've come, and reevaluating, taking the time to evaluate where it is that we're going to go. So that's what that is for me, that equivalent to it as well. Another thing that also came to mind was completely slipped my mind. Oh, that as a businessman, as a younger entrepreneur, I think a lot of times we struggle because we have too much time on our hands, and we think we don't have enough time when in reality we have too much time on our hands. So we take a 12-hour project that could be done in 2 hours and we drag that out for as long as we can because either A, we're afraid to keep pushing the envelope, or B, we think that, well, once I finish this, and what else am I going to do? And I've seen it where I'm a lot more productive, I'm a lot more focused, I'm a lot more intentional and effective when I'm doing other things because I don't have all day to dedicate to my business. I have to come in, I have to execute, I have to be razor sharp. I don't have time to talk, I don't have time for anything. It's a laser beam focus. So I condense the amount of work in less time. I provide a better product, better service because I'm more intentional with what I'm doing and I'm sharper up here, which nets me more time. So I'm making more money in less time. I'm able to do other things that fulfill me, and the cycle just kind of repeats and feeds on itself.
Yeah, I love that. So, yeah, and that's a lot of this too, I think, is around self-awareness, and then also, life is really a journey of like self-discovery, and so that's how that self-awareness plays in there. But there's so many things I want to say too that you've touched on that journaling. I also do the same. I looked over because I usually have my notebook here. I was just going to flip through it, but I've got about 3 different notebooks for different things that I write in. And clearing your head. You had mentioned now you kind of have an assistant, so you can just say it. But writing that down, that's another thing that's really important with focus. One other thing that we had actually talked about prior in your previous interview that we haven't touched on yet, but I'll ask you if you still do it, but meditation. I think that's really important too. You still do it?
Absolutely. So before I go there, I don't want the misconception to be out there, right? Because you just said about having an assistant. And I don't want someone to think, well, I can't do that because I don't have an assistant or I can't afford an assistant or whatnot. I do things like, hey, Siri, remind me to A, B, and C. Hey, Siri, call this person. Hey, Siri, text this person. So it may not always be to a personal assistant. Sometimes I do it to my phone. Sometimes I do it to my watch. I might be out on a run and I'll say, hey, Siri, remind me to A, B, and C. So it's having a system that supports me in doing that, but the concept is still the same, getting it out of your space or just, taking a moment to send myself an email. So if you're in a position, if one of your audience members is in a position that maybe they don't see themselves having an assistant, utilize the technology that we have. It's very important, very powerful, very useful. Siri's like waiting for me to tell her like what it is that I want.
Yeah, right. So, she's going to tell you the weather and everything right now. So she wants to join the interview.
If you're listening to this, if you don't have an assistant, go get an assistant. Even if you think that you can't afford it, find out a way to do it, and also leverage technology to your benefit. Going to your
Yeah.
question just now, Andrew, meditation, absolutely. I've been meditating more now, more than ever, which is helping me have that laser sharp clarity that I was just talking about. And it also allows me to be more intuitive, to identify where the inefficiencies are occurring in my life, in my business, so I can correct them and improve.
100%. And you know what? I'm curious too, like, as far as people watching, like, put in the comments, what technology or what methods do you use to be more efficient?
Mhm.
And maybe even what areas do you want to be more efficient in?
Mhm.
I'm actually really curious to like know. Because yeah, that's something I think as entrepreneurs, we're always looking to find,
Yes.
better technology, ways to be more efficient and free up more time. So yeah, I agree. I'm the same. Technology, assistants, they all help. And I want to touch now, and actually on meditation, I didn't really comment on that. I want to acknowledge you on that. I find that in the mornings for me, if I'm rushing, that'll be like the first thing I skip.
Mm.
But what I've been realizing is that that is so important because it really sets the tone for the day.
Mm.
And so I've now made it like a commitment. Like instead of like, I mean, I put that in prayer actually. Like those are like can't miss those two things.
Yes.
Um, and so even if it's 5 minutes meditation, a quick prayer, I don't miss those anymore.
Mm.
Um, that really sets the tone for the rest of the day. It sounds simple, but it's really powerful. And so I'm glad that you shared that, and you're doing it more, right? You didn't do it less, you did more. So that's brilliant. Are you still actually going to sleep? I remember this is another thing. Are you still going to sleep? I think was it 9 o'clock in bed?
So now I'm doing 10 to 4:30. Well, 9:30 to 4:30.
Okay, still. I mean, that's still good. My wake up time is 4:30, but I won't tell you my bedtime. Let's just say
One
that.
thing that has helped me, I've also improved the quality of sleep. I
Mhm.
got some earbuds. So I pop in some earbuds. Those things have been wonders for me. I fall asleep faster, which for me, I had trouble falling asleep. I
Mm.
stay asleep longer. I sleep deeper. I feel more refreshed. So, highly recommend investing in some earbuds. They're very inexpensive. You could probably get some at the dollar store, just a little cushion, pop them in, and go to sleep. It makes a world of a difference. Going back to the meditation, there's a quote that says, if you don't have time to meditate once a day, then it's recommended that you meditate twice a day. And the reason for that is going back to the same principle. You are so much clearer, and you're able to act much more directly, think more directly than if you are. It's like sharpening your saw. It is literally sharpening your axe. We go through and we're trying to chop down this tree, and we're there 7 hours trying to chop it down. Where if you just
Right.
invested 6 hours into sharpening your axe, you can chop down the whole forest if you wanted to.
Yeah, I've heard that one, and I think along the same lines as the meditation one you just gave there. I think it was Gandhi. I had heard. I believe it was Gandhi where he said, "If I have a lot to do in a day, I'm going to meditate twice as long."
Mm, yes.
So yeah, no, definitely kind of along the same lines. So let's dive into, what are your plans for, coming up now?
So my goal for 2022 is to quadruple my income. I want to travel. I want to go to Yellowstone specifically. I want to spend more time in nature, like really
Hmm.
disconnect. I want to buy real estate, invest in real estate, and go full on into commercial real estate as well, specifically with industrial warehouses here in Miami-Dade County.
Okay, yeah, and you had mentioned that there's a need for commercial real estate in Florida. So what's going on there? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so supply and demand is in huge favor of sellers basically across the board, especially single family and commercial, specifically warehouses. The need for warehouses has been an increase because of the amount of e-commerce that's going on. So world shuts down, can't shop, people are going online to shop. So now there's more of a need to have storage, basically, to logistically distribute and ship out all of this merchandise. So it's been an increase of commercial of warehouses specifically because of that, mostly because of that. So just to
Yeah,
give you an idea, when last year the number one asset that went up in real estate, the number one class type of property that went up was industrial, commercial warehouses, and it's primarily because of that. There's a need for that. And also when the economy shifts as well and people are downsizing their houses, maybe they might lose their homes, foreclosure, you name it, they need a place to store their property as well. So warehouses, that's a different type. That's more of a self-storage. I'm dealing with, more of a single tenant, a single person that's in that property type of warehouse. But e-commerce has really driven the need for it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Also, the convenience of it, where everyone's trying to push for like same day delivery. So definitely makes sense that you need more warehouses in order to be able to deliver same day.
Yes.
So my last question for you is, what advice do you have for someone who's chasing their entrepreneurship dream?
Meditate. That will give so much clarity. Number one, as to what you want, which is half the battle, identifying the target. And number two, with how to go about getting it. And if you're spiritual or if you believe in a higher being, the universe will conspire with you in achieving that.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. I love that. I love that, that just keeps it basic and simple, but it's powerful. Very powerful. So what's the best way that people can follow you on social media or connect with you?
Absolutely. So they can go to my website, tmoreno.net. They can also follow me on Instagram. The handle is at joshuaemoreno.homes. So they can find me there. I'm on Facebook as well, LinkedIn under my name, but I'm most active on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I'll make sure I put those in the description below, all those links. And then, I just want to thank you again, Joshua, for coming on. And I'll also put in the description below as well, I also put the link to Joshua's first interview. So you can hear his, full story. Again, very powerful and inspiring story of transformation. Really beautiful. So, I just want to kind of give like a quick little message, but, there's really a balance. I really think that there's a balance that you got to find when you create a business, when you start building it. And I understand too, how hard you want to go into it. And I mean, I deal with this. I was telling you before the interview, right? I deal with the same thing as far as how hard to go with it. And it's almost like your child, right? You create it literally from scratch. So, you want to do everything to grow it and build it, but, you do have to find that balance. It's very important. And so I really appreciate you, Joshua, for, taking the time to share, your business journey, your growth, your lessons learned. And I love that you're finding a lot more balance as well. And we were talking about just, our similarities. So, I definitely appreciate also being able to just, reach out and connect and I get some advice from you here and there.
Love it. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure. I'm happy that this interview just so happened to be pretty much a year after the first one. And it's all exponential growth for all of us. Thank you, all of you, for listening and watching this video, this interview. And I wish you all much success. Hit me up on the gram. Love to connect, even if it's just to talk, business, personal, it doesn't matter. It's always good to connect. Andrew, thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Definitely always welcome back on. And I know I gave you a t-shirt, last year, but I did do a redesign, brand new t-shirt.
Nice.
Yeah. So very premium cotton,
Nice.
really soft. So I will be sending you a new one. You can call it the Expanding Wallet T-shirt version 2.0.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. So look out for that. And if any of you want a T-shirt, I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. And with that, Joshua and everyone on, I'll just say, remember to learn all that you can, believe in yourself, and take actions that allow you to grow. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Bye, everyone.